Hey everyone, welcome to this crash course on integrating React components in your Phoenix application. The app we will be building would be a simple Kanban board that allows the user to move cards around and resize them. From an architectural perspective, you can see that Phoenix will simply ship the React components alongside the HTML. So let's get started. We start off by generating a brand new Phoenix project, and as usual, you can find all the source code in the description below. Let's begin by installing the JavaScript dependencies. I'm going to navigate to Assets and install what I need with Yarn. With React installed, let's go ahead and generate the data model. I'm using the JSON and HTML generators to make this process much faster. Now I'm going to set up the route for the API by uncommenting this pre-generated line of code and then dropping in the resource for tasks and pointing that to the API version of the tasks controller. Let's check if the routes are valid, and they look okay. So I'm going to create the database and then migrate it. With the database prepped and the server started, let's jump into Postman and test out our brand new API. So here I'm going to create a new task, and it seems to work. I'm going to list tasks, and that works as well. So let's move on. Our next destination would be the place where we actually want to mount the React component. I'm going to mount it on the pages controller in the root path. So here I'm grabbing all the tasks from the database, JSON encoding them, and passing it as a prop. I get a helpful warning from VS Code saying that Poison isn't available. So I'm going to install it, and while I'm down here, I'm going to install Faker as well. We will use Faker later on to generate some mock data. Let's see if the server works, and it seems to work. Now I'm going to jump into BabelRC, I'm going to rename it to BabelConfig.js, and drop in the following plumbing. So this will basically set up the preset for React and then return it to whoever calls this function. With Babel configured, next we will have to jump into the Webpack config and add JSX support. After that, I'm going to create the folder structure for a typical React application and define an entry point that will use remount to map React components to custom HTML elements. With this in place, I just need to import the React entry point to the main JavaScript bundle. I'm going to copy-paste some pre-baked code for the React component, and you can see here it does some pretty standard stuff. It formats the data, it sets up a listener for the spacebar, and just renders the Kanban board. You can see more of the source code in the description below. With the React component created, we can simply mount it to a view by referencing the custom HTML element that it maps to. When I refresh the page, I see there's a problem with a missing CSS file, so let's create that and drop the code for it. Cool, we have a different error. We're missing a library, so let's grab that and add another library, which I forgot to add earlier on. So with that in place, we have a different error saying that we can't process CSS files. So it's line 5 and 6 here. I think restarting the server is going to help, so let's do that. And let's see. Okay, no errors. Fantastic. So we're going to jump into the inspector, and we can see that the React component is being rendered along with the JSON props. And everything looks good. So I'm just going to clean up the markup, and we can see the React application in its glory. Let's see, the CSS doesn't look all that good, so let's go ahead and try and fix that. I'm going to pull in Bootstrap. I'm going to just copy-paste the CDN for the Bootstrap JavaScript and CSS, and things are looking a little bit better. I think there's a class here that shouldn't be there. Yep, container, let's remove that, and try it again. Okay, much better. So as we can see here, the React component is working as expected, but there's a little problem. I made a mistake in the migration, so I'm going to make it a text field for that column, and then drop in some code that will generate some mock data for us. So let's see if this works. I'm going to use Faker to generate the data. I'm going to drop the database. I'm going to set it up again from scratch. And I'm going to start the server, and boom, it works. With this configuration in place, we can sprinkle in React components where need be without fully committing to a client-rendered front end. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time.